there's one thing that's true, it's that our hobby will change. It has to. Not in big dramatic moments, but in the quiet ways it drifts. The debates, the scams, the arguments, the clutter you never asked for. Not its heart, just its shadows. And yeah, I get pulled into the noise sometimes. And whenever it gets too loud, something steady always pulls me back. Something familiar, something real. Because to me, the heart of this hobby has never been the hype. It's the cards themselves, the quiet ones, the ones tied to the moments that last. The glove I carried with me through most of Little League was this Brooks Robinson signature model Rawlings. My dad taught me how to break it in with a baseball, a few rubber bands, and the kind of patience only a parent has when they're passing down something that mattered to them once too. I vividly remember the smell of the new leather and sleeping with it under my pillow, convinced it would soften overnight. I loved that glove. Brooks Robinson signature didn't make me better, but it sure made me believe I could be. And the plays I made with it, well, memory has a way of turning routine fly balls into something bigger. To be sure, if my hand still fit, I'd still be using it. I eventually moved on to a larger Nolan Ryan model, but I never let go of that Brooks Robinson belief. And a few years later, at a massive car parts swap meet in the infield of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it all came back. The whole place smelled of gasoline, rust, and sunburn, and in a little heap of chrome and old magazines sat this 1964 Topps Giant, Brooks Robinson. It instantly became my favorite Brooks Robinson card. Seeing Brooks that large, caught in that moment of calm concentration, takes me right back to that glove and chasing down fly balls, believing like most kids do that every play was a big league moment. It wasn't the first card that ever meant something to me, just one that made something small feel giant again. It brought back the little leaguer I'd forgotten but never really lost. It still does. Some cards stay with you, not because of the player on the front or the price guide value, but because of who handed them to you. The 1975 Topps Robin Yount is one of those cards for me. Not a trophy, not a chase, a reminder of a teacher who reached me long before I knew I needed reaching. You see, in 1982, I was the class clown. Restless, loud, always pushing for attention. Most teachers tried to silence that with discipline, staying after class, trips to the principal's office, endless lines written as punishment. But not Mr. Kraft. A Cardinals fan, steady, patient, the kind of teacher who sees the kid behind the noise. That year's World Series became the unlikely bridge between us. Every morning after a game, I'd walk into class still caught in the echo of the night before, and he'd be waiting. A nod, a grin, a question about a play or a game-shifting moment. Nothing dramatic, just connection. For the first time, I was being met where I was. You see, heading into the series, we'd made a gentleman's bet. If the Cardinals won, I'd give him a couple of extra Ozzie Smiths that I had and a miniature Cardinals helmet I'd pulled from a grocery store vending machine. If the Brewers won, he'd give me a 1975 Robin Yount, a duplicate he had and a card I needed to sit beside my 1975 George Brett. That little bet sharpened every pitch, every swing, every rally. It brought the series to life. Him pulling for St. Louis, me for Milwaukee. Both of us watching just a bit closer. And it was an exciting series, going the full 7 games. The Brewers were on the verge, up late in Game 7 before the Cardinals rallied. And I watched the hopes for that Yount card slip away like a ball in the lights. The next morning, I came to class ready to pay up. Though he could have, Mr. Kraft didn't gloat. He didn't rub it in. He simply enjoyed the win. We talked through the final innings, the momentum swings, Whitey ball outlasting Harvey's wallbangers. His wisdom over my youth. Then, quietly at just the right moment, he handed me this 1975 Robin Yount. Not to break the bet, not as charity, but to show me that connection mattered more than the score. A connection rooted in the game, carried by a teacher who saw something in me before I ever knew how to see it in myself. Every collector has that card. The one you chased for no other reason than everyone else already had it. The one that didn't carry deep meaning at the time, just a kind of playground gravity. For me, that was the 1971 Topps Thurman Munson. It wasn't rare, it wasn't special, it wasn't even tied to a story I understood yet. But in the late 1970s, every kid I knew had that card tucked in a shoebox, wrapped in a rubber band, or the one they put on top when laying out cards to trade. And I wanted it. Not because I was a Yankees or Thurman Munson fan, or because I understood what that photograph captured, but because owning it meant I belonged. That action shot, it was unlike anything on any card we had. A frozen slice of baseball in motion. Munson bracing for a tag on a headfirst sliding Chuck Dobson. Mask off, ball in hand. It had everything we idolized. The action, the intensity, even the rookie cup. It's as perfect a baseball card as any ever printed. But back then, I didn't see art or storytelling or photography. I saw what my friends saw. A cool card everyone wanted. So when one finally found its way into my hands, not through a dramatic trade or a meaningful moment, just a simple swap between kids, it felt like checking a box, like catching up, like finally having what everyone else already had. That's why this card matters, because it captures something every collector understands, even if we never say it out loud. The simple joy of wanting something just because everyone else did, and the strange way that one small card can make you feel like you're part of something bigger. The Munson didn't shape me. It didn't teach me anything. It didn't connect me to someone. It was just the card that I had to have, which is exactly why I still have it. Some cards don't take you back to your own memories. They take you back to someone else's. Someone who lived the game long before you were ever around. For me, that card is the 1952 Topps Johnny Mize. I didn't pull it from a pack. I didn't stumble onto it at a flea market. I picked it up for a simple reason. I'd never owned a card that old before. I didn't even really know who Johnny Mize was. But it was a cool card from an iconic set. It was a link to a version of baseball I only knew through old sports magazines. My dad would occasionally talk about players like Mize, but mostly in passing. Not legends, not myths, just men who played the game with a kind of sturdy, uncomplicated greatness. Men who shaped the way he saw the game. And when I showed him this 52 Mize, something happened. Not dramatically, not even something most people would notice. Just a pause, a spark, a recognition. He started talking like this wasn't just a player. This was a memory. But in a way that he wasn't sure anybody wanted to hear. About games he went to, about players he watched, about the way baseball sounded on a summer day when he was a kid. Stories I'd never heard before. Stories he'd never thought to tell. And in his voice, I could hear someone younger. Someone I'd never met. all because of a single card from a time I never lived through. A card that didn't just expand my collection, it expanded my world. That's why this one is the bridge. Not because it gave me a bridge to a different era of the game, but because it gave me a bridge to a different version of my dad. The hobby keeps moving. It has to. Not in leaps, just in shifts you only notice after someone brings it up. New controversy, new noise, new ways to care about things that never used to matter. But underneath all of that, something quieter hangs on. It's in the cards that found us before we knew why they mattered. In the people who reached us without fanfare. In the cards we chased simply because everyone else did. In the stories that belonged to someone else before they ever belonged to us. That's what holds all of this together. Not prices, not hype, not the chase we pretend is the point. Just moments. Small, meaningful moments that stay put, even when everything else shifts around them. Because collecting was never really about the pace. It was about keeping hold of who we were, of who shaped us, of the moments that seemed to grow with time. And maybe, if something in all of this found its way to you, that's just your own story, hiding in plain sight.